So just imagine you are about to go on your dream vacation, a cruise that you've been planning for months, maybe even years. You have your passport, your excursions are booked, your drink package is purchased. You get all the way to the cruise terminal only to be denied boarding. And it's not for a reason you'd expect, like an expired passport or arriving too late to the terminal. Oh no, it's for a reason that catches a lot of people off guard. There's actually many reasons, in fact, for a cruise line to deny you boarding for your cruise, which is why today I'm going to be helping you out by giving you 5 shocking ways you can be denied boarding for your cruise. Oh, and by the way, today's video is sponsored by Quince, but more on that later. Number 1, you can be denied boarding a cruise for having a criminal record. Now, this type of situation can work one of 2 ways. You can be denied before your cruise even begins, or you could potentially be arrested upon concluding your cruise, which I'll talk about here in a second. Now, a common misconception that a lot of people believe is that there are no background checks at all done on passengers before a cruise. While the cruise lines don't directly handle the background checks, there are 2 things that happen. There are agencies that the cruise lines work with in order to check out your potential criminal record in case you have any crimes that are, well, let's say, a little bit worse than the average. That will then get flagged, and of course you can be denied boarding this way. The bigger thing that happens is that the cruise lines do have something called a passenger manifest that is sent all over the place to authority agencies in the United States like Customs, and of course to the islands, destinations, or ports of call that you might be visiting. This point is extremely important to focus on because depending on your itinerary or where your cruise is going to be going during the cruise will determine if you are denied boarding. For example, if you are going on a cruise that stops in Canada, they are known to have some of the strictest policies in terms of who is allowed to enter the country, even if it's for just a short time on a cruise. Something as little as a DUI can cause you to be denied boarding because you will not be allowed to enter Canada. Just to be clear, there are a lot of details, little giblets, and legalities when it comes to this specific situation because not all DUIs or crimes are the same. So make sure you do your due diligence, do your research to make sure you're allowed to go on the cruise if you have a criminal record. There are other places like Australia, New Zealand, and even some destinations over in Asia that will not allow you to cruise depending on your criminal record. Now, even if you are able to board your cruise and sail the 7 seas and have your vacation of a lifetime, depending on your criminal record, let's say you are on probation or on parole, depending on the provisions and rules outlined in those types of situations, there is the potential for you to be arrested upon your arrival back over to your home port once the cruise has concluded. So enjoy all of your drinks and the food because, well, you could potentially be in handcuffs upon your arrival home. So again, make sure you do your research or talk to your probation officer. Number 2, and this is a frustrating one, you can be denied boarding for your cruise being overbooked. And I say it's frustrating because more than likely, this type of situation is not your fault. This is something we've seen here in 2025 a lot with, unfortunately, Royal Caribbean, even on some of their largest ships, which happen to be the largest ships in the world, like Icon of the Seas, which holds well over 7,000 passengers. There's been situations where the cruise was overbooked. Now, there are many reasons why this has happened. Typically, it is a situation where there are travel agents involved and other people that are booking these cruises. It's not that they're knowing that the cruise is going to be oversold. It's just logistics and a lot of moving parts that are involved with getting all of the passengers booked and on the manifest. I'm sure you can imagine. There could also be situations where your particular cruise was already sold out, full to the brim, and your particular stateroom, cabin, or suite is having some type of issues. Maybe there is a plumbing issue. Maybe there is something wrong with the pipes, and now your room is no longer available and there is not another room. Now, oftentimes when this type of situation does happen, the cruise lines will give you a lot of really cool options in the form of a full refund with some benefits added in. They'll give you something called FCC or future cruise credit. They can rebook you on another cruise, sometimes even on that same area or date that you were supposed to sail. And if it's not equivalent equivalent, they will give you a couple extras like onboard credit, or you could potentially have a situation where they upgrade you. Let's say you had a cabin and the only thing that is available left over on that particular ship is a suite. There is an opportunity for you to potentially get that as well. Now, like I said, unfortunately, when these types of issues or conundrums do happen, and they do happen unfortunately every now and then, there isn't much that you as a passenger can do in that moment except navigate this complex issue with the cruise line. So I would suggest for some of you to avoid the headache and frustration to get a travel agent. That way they can take care of all of this for you and maybe even potentially negotiate with the lines and figure something out to get you on that cruise that you have been planning for a while. Now, before we get to number 3, you want to make sure you are sailing in style. That's why I am happy to be partnering with today's sponsor, Quince. It's time to sail into your own style with Quince. If you're anything like me and you're exhausted from chasing quality products across different stores, whether it's clothing, home goods, or everyday essentials, where typically the products will be overpriced, or you're going to be frantically shopping all over the interwebs and still not find the exact products you want, well, look no further, because Quince is here to make your life easier. From European linen apparel and butterfly soft bamboo bedding to 14 karat gold jewelry and even beautiful Italian leather bags, Quince brings all high-end essentials together in one place. By the way, did I forget to mention that Quince is priced 50% less than what you'll find with similar brands, and of course they also can deliver direct to consumer. I did personally have some products shipped over, and my primary focus was to start getting ready for the fall season. I ordered the gray sweater knit fleece zip-up vest, the featherless quilted fleece lined vest, and some Layton polarized stainless steel sunglasses. And as you can see, they look absolutely amazing and stylish, and of course all of the apparel was comfortable to wear. Today, you fine folk can upgrade your wardrobe, home, and more with high-end essentials from Quince. All you have to do is use the link in the description box below or pinned in the comment section, where you will not only get free shipping with Quince, you'll also get 365 days of returns. In case you didn't hear me, that's free shipping and 1 full year of returns. With that being said, Quince, thank you so much for sponsoring this video. Now, let's go ahead and get back to it. Number 3, you can be denied boarding for bad hygiene. Now, this is something that, to be honest with all of you, is not super common. However, it is in a lot of the cruise lines guidelines and policy. And this does go beyond the idea of somebody not wearing deodorant, or they haven't taken a bath, or they have dirty nails, which, by the way, guys, please take care of yourself. Nobody wants to smell you on board or look like you haven't taken a bath in 3 years. But this goes more along the lines of safety and sanitation for the cruise lines. There was once a time back in 2020, I think we all know what we're talking about here, in which health and safety was extremely important. And on cruise ships, there is a higher risk for germs to spread on board, which could potentially spread to other passengers. And just like that, you have a very bad situation on the cruise. So the cruise lines naturally want to avoid it. Moral of the story here, do not show up to your cruise smelling like a pig pen. Nobody wants to smell you on board, and also it's a big safety risk. Somewhat piggybacking off of number 3, for number 4, you can be denied boarding your cruise for being unfit to travel. Now, this could mean a lot of things, but I'm assuming the first thing you guys are going to think of is you being a health risk. Whenever you board a cruise or prior to, you are often going to be asked a questionnaire, whether it be digital, and usually you're going to be asked digital, and you're going to be asked in person upon arriving to the cruise terminal. You're going to be asked if you had any symptoms in the last 24 hours, any coughs, have you had diarrhea or bubble guts, have you had a situation where you are vomiting, have you had any flu or COVID-like symptoms. Answering any of these questions the wrong way, or even on accident, which I have seen, by the way, when you guys get those questionnaires or somebody asks you any type of health-related questions, make sure you pay attention and don't just brush through it, because that can cause a lot of complications and you to be denied boarding for your cruise. Or if you're showing any types of physical issues or signs that maybe you are unwell, you can be denied boarding. However, this does go a little bit deeper, because you can be considered unfit to travel if you are somebody, let's say you have health complications and you would be needing medical care, that is not available on the cruise. If it's deemed that, the cruise lines can deny you boarding. Unfit could also mean that you have trouble walking, you don't have the proper assistance with you. You could even be denied boarding for being blind. This is something that happened, I believe it was a year or so ago with Virgin Cruises, and well, it was a big controversial issue and it caused a lot of complications. Thankfully, it was rectified, but this is something to keep in mind. So I would again urge all of you, if you have situations like this where you have specific needs for your cruise, make sure you have a travel agent. That way they can assist you and ensure you get on your cruise and enjoy it without any issues or complications. For our fifth and final reason you can be denied boarding for your cruise is wearing illegal clothing. Now there are two primary elements that I want to look at for this particular topic. One is where you are going. What destinations are you visiting? Because something that has unfortunately become a problem when it comes to people cruising from, let's say, the United States over to the Caribbean is people wearing camouflage clothing. You have to understand, in the Caribbean, it is absolutely not allowed. It's 100% illegal, and you can be jailed for wearing camouflage over in the Caribbean. Why? Because there has to be a distinct difference between the military and the military police over in those particular areas versus the civilians. In terms of the cruise lines, make sure you do your research, because obviously every cruise line is going to have their own regulations and terms and policies as far as what you can and cannot wear. However, just to keep things simple, I would just say to use common sense. I know that's not exactly common these days, but let's say, for example, you decide to go to the terminal and try to board in your birthday suit. There are specific cruises that are designated for that type of function, and even then you do have to be clothed at least until you get on the cruise, and then whenever you're in the port of call and all that, and you have to be clothed. But on the ship, yeah, you can run around as much as you'd like and enjoy yourself. If you are wearing barely any clothing at the terminal, you could be denied boarding. Again, this does vary from cruise line to cruise line, and it's something that is, I would argue, let's say controversial, and there is a lot of nuance and little details involved, is you wearing something that could potentially be offensive. And in this climate where everybody, yes, we know, can be potentially offended by literally everything, there are some things that are a little bit of common sense and a little bit understandable, but we do know things like politics are a hot button issue, and it could potentially cause problems on board a cruise. There are some things that are allowed to fly, but again, stuff that's over the top offensive and it's obviously made and worn to be offensive, yeah, that can potentially be an issue. And outside of politics too, yes, people can wear very, very offensive clothing, so just avoid it at all costs. Keep things plain Jane. Make sure you get yourself like a nice little tourist Hawaiian flower shirt like I'm wearing, and you should be good to go for your cruise. Anyway, that's what we have for today's video. Hope you guys found it valuable and enjoyable. I could make a part 2, 3, 5 of this, so if you guys want more points on this specific topic, make sure you let me know in the comment section below. Also, let me know your thoughts, and of course, subscribe, hit that like button if you haven't already, and as usual, I appreciate you guys. I'll see you later. Take it easy.